If you're watching this video, you're probably choosing a math curriculum for your child right now. You've probably already seen all these reviews. Everyone says Beast Academy is amazing, and it is really well done. Comic format, engaging problems. Kids love it. But here's what I want to show you today. I'm going to walk through these books with you and explain something no other review talks about. What cognitive skills this program actually develops, what skills it assumes your child already has, and what critical gaps it leaves. Because here's the thing, the math program you choose in elementary school shapes whether your child will truly understand math or just learn to follow procedures. A kid can work through all of this, get good grades, master all the skills, and still have missing foundations they're going to need later. Or a kid can struggle with this and you'll think, my kid isn't good at math, when really, their brain just isn't ready for this approach yet. So let's look at what's actually happening inside your child's head when they work through Beast Academy. When you're looking at a math curriculum, there are three totally different questions, right? Is this a quality program? Is it well designed, engaging, logically structured? Is this effective? Does it actually teach mathematical thinking or just procedures? Does this match my child's brain? Beast Academy? Quality? Yes. Effectiveness? Yes, way better than most programs. But that third question? That's what we need to figure out. Because that's the one that determines if this is going to work for your kid. Let me show you what I mean by looking at what's actually in here. Look at this. They use X's for tens and dots for ones. The problem asks, after replacing 10 dots with an X, how many X's are there? Kids literally see the exchange happening. 10 dots become 1X. This is brilliant for building place value understanding. And watch how they build complexity. More X's, more regrouping. The visual system stays consistent. Throughout the entire workbook, they're working with these representations, X's and dots. Even in the practice workbook, 5 tens and 26 ones. The regrouping is drawn right here. 1 10 splits into 10 ones. The visual does the thinking. Every single problem has the picture showing what's happening. Kids aren't abstracting yet. They're still working with the visual blocks. This approach? Absolutely fantastic for conceptual understanding. Kids who think visually? This is going to click for them. But here's what this requires from your child's brain. Strong working memory. Because in every problem, they're holding multiple things simultaneously. The original amount, the regrouping process, where they are in the steps, and what the final answer needs to be. If your child has that working memory capacity, they're going to thrive. They'll build incredible number sense. But if working memory is still developing, every problem becomes exhausting. Not because the math is too hard, because the mental load is too heavy. They'll forget where they were halfway through. And here's the gap I want you to see. Because everything stays tied to these visual representations, X's, dots, blocks, kids never make the full jump to abstract thinking. They can solve how many X's and dots. But ask them, what's 47 plus 38? Without the picture, they're stuck. The operation is tied to the visual. They haven't abstracted it yet. Image this situation. So same program. 3 different kids. Kid 1, visual thinker, strong working memory, thrives. Kid 2, working memory still developing, struggles, and you think they're bad at math. Kid 3, breezes through with great scores. But 2 years later, when math becomes more abstract, suddenly they're lost. That's what I mean by cognitive match. The question isn't, is Beast Academy good? It's supposed to be, does it match how my child's brain works right now? Let me show you exactly what this program develops. Here's exactly what I mean. 2 different families, 2 totally different outcomes. Family number 1. They get Beast Academy because it's on all the lists. Kid starts working through level 2A, and it looks great. Pages are getting done, problems are correct. Kids enjoying the comic format. Mom's feeling good about this choice. But what she can't see, because it's invisible in the workbook, is that her son is solving these problems by recognizing patterns and memorizing steps. He's not really building the deep abstract thinking he's going to need later. Fast forward 2 years. 4th grade. Math gets more abstract. Multi-step word problems, early pre-algebra, having to explain your reasoning and writing. And suddenly he's struggling. Can't articulate how he got the answer. Getting frustrated. And mom's sitting there like, wait, what happened? He was doing so well in second grade. The gap didn't appear suddenly. It was building slowly, invisibly, during all those successful second grade months. Now, family number two. They also choose Beast Academy. But before they start, they actually know their daughter's cognitive profile. They know which thinking skills she already has, which ones Beast Academy is going to develop, and which ones they need to work on separately. So they're not just checking if the workbook is done. They're listening to how she explains things. They're asking, why does that strategy work? They're deliberately building the skills that Beast Academy doesn't focus on. 2 years later, fourth grade math comes, and she's ready. She can reason abstractly. She can explain her thinking. She approaches new problems with confidence. The foundation is solid. Same program, totally different approach, completely different outcome. So what made the difference? Not how smart these kids are. The second mom knew exactly what her daughter's brain needed right then, and she made sure to add what the workbook was missing. So, how do you actually know which path you're on before you're 2 years in? Here's what's helpful to understand. There's actually research on how children's brains develop mathematical thinking. Russian psychologists Lyudmila Yasukova and Lev Vygotsky spent decades studying not just can kids solve the problem, but what's actually happening in their brain when they solve it. What cognitive skills are they using? And what the research shows is pretty surprising. Mathematical thinking isn't one thing. It's not like you're either good at math or bad at math. Math actually depends on 14 different types of thinking. Some are core, absolutely essential. Some are important. And some are supportive. They help, but aren't critical. In this video, I'm going to focus on the 4 core types of thinking. The ones that really determine whether a math program is going to work for your child or not. In my next video, I'll cover all the others. Let me show you what these 4 core types look like. Information processing focus. Can your kid hold multiple steps in their head? Like if they need to do step 1, 2, and 3. Do they remember step 3 by the time they get there? Or do they get to step 3 and forget what they were supposed to do next? Linear visual thinking. Can they organize information step by step in their mind? When they look at a number line, does it just click? Or is it confusing? Conceptual logical thinking. Do they naturally notice patterns in numbers? Like they see 24, 34, 44 and go, oh, those all end in 4. Or do they have to memorize everything? Abstract thinking. Can they work with numbers as just numbers? Or do they need everything to be about apples or coins or something concrete? These aren't vague things. We can actually measure them, get real scores, and then look at, okay, what does Beast Academy actually need from your child? What does it build? What does it skip? Because here's the thing. If you know your child's thinking profile, you can match the curriculum to their brain. If you don't, you're choosing based on reviews and hoping it works out. So let me show you what Beast Academy does really well. This right here, this is their superpower. Place value understanding. Look at how they teach it. These pirate coins. Kids see that 10 dots become 1x. It's not a rule to memorize. 10 ones equal 110. It's a visual system they understand intuitively. And look, they can write it different ways. 7x's equals 70. The kid is seeing the relationship, not just memorizing notation. And then they take it deeper. We have 300s and 7 tens. Break each hundred into 10 tens. Kids are breaking hundreds back into tens, then regrouping tens into ones. This isn't just forward, it's bidirectional understanding. Why does this matter? Because this foundation, this is what makes algebra possible later. When they see this x representing 10, and they're adding x's together, later, when they see 3x plus 7x equal 10x, they'll understand that x is a unit, just like tens and hundreds are units. The thinking is already there. Multiple strategies for the same problem. Instead of just teaching the way to add 391 plus 39, they show multiple paths. At 40, then adjust by subtracting 1, or add by place value. At 30, then add 9. The kid learns there are multiple paths to an answer, and choosing the smart path, deciding which strategy fits best, that's not just math, that's executive function development. Number sense. Number lines everywhere. Look at this problem. Find the number halfway between 350 and 410. Kids aren't just calculating. They're seeing numbers as positions in space. They find halfway points, understand distance, and then they make it strategic. This is a game, but the kid is thinking about which position wins. Number sense becomes intuitive. This intuitive feel for how numbers relate. Research shows this predicts math success better than being fast at computation. And they explicitly teach problem solving. Guess what number belongs in the top circle? If your guess doesn't work, can you make a better guess? Keep trying. That's the guess ND check strategy, named explicitly. Here, start by finding the number you add to 40. That's working backwards. They're teaching the strategy itself and pattern recognition. Most programs don't teach how to approach a problem you've never seen before. Beast Academy makes the strategy explicit. Not just solve this, but here's how you think about solving this. So if your kid's brain is ready for this visual, spatial, strategic, pattern-based approach, if they can hold multiple steps in working memory and they think in pictures, this program can be exceptional. But here's what catches parents off guard. Beast Academy doesn't build those skills from zero. It assumes certain things are already there in your kid's brain: working memory and attention. This is the big one. By level 2, your kid needs to hold multi-step instructions in their head. First add 30, then subtract 1. They need to track the ones place and the tens place at the same time. Remember intermediate results while they're solving. If their working memory can't handle that load yet, they're going to forget steps halfway through, make careless errors even though they understand the concept, get frustrated. And it's not about trying harder. Their brain literally isn't ready for that cognitive load. Impulse control. Beast Academy's whole thing is strategy, right? But that requires your kid to stop before they start solving. Think about which strategy makes sense. Not just impulsively start counting on their fingers or whatever comes first. If their executive function isn't there yet, they won't use the strategies. They'll know them, but they won't actually use them. Basic number sense and counting. From day one, Beast Academy assumes your kid can count to 100 fluently. Instantly recognize quantities 1 through 10. Understand more than, less than. If those aren't solid, the whole thing is going to be really hard. Spatial reasoning. The number lines require understanding left-right, what between means, what halfway means. If your kid's spatial thinking is weak, those visual representations are going to confuse them instead of helping. Intolerance for not knowing. Beast Academy is very open-ended, right? You're supposed to try things, see if they work, be okay with making mistakes. If your kid needs to be certain before they start, if they see errors as failure instead of information, those guess and check activities are going to create anxiety. So these 5 things, Beast Academy doesn't develop them. It needs them to already be there. And here's the most important part. This is what creates those hidden gaps I was talking about at the beginning. There are some critical thinking skills that Beast Academy just doesn't develop, and your kid's going to need these in upper elementary and middle school. First, abstract logical thinking. Everything in Beast Academy stays tied to concrete representations. Pirate coins, objects, pictures. Your kid never fully makes the jump to working with numbers as pure abstract concepts. So what happens? They can solve if you have 5 apples and get 3 more. How many apples? But then you ask, what is 5 plus 3? Just the abstract operation. And they're stuck. The operation is tied to the context. They haven't abstracted it. Second, causal logical reasoning. Beast Academy shows that strategies work. They give examples, demonstrate it. Add 9, then add 30. But they never ask kids to prove why something works, to explain the logical reasoning behind the rule. When kids hit middle school and need to write proofs, justify why their method is valid, they're not prepared for that type of reasoning. And here's the gap that concerns me most. Verbal logical articulation. The comic format means there's minimal practice with verbal explanation. Kids can solve problems, but they can't explain how they solve them in words. And this isn't just about communication. This is about cognitive development itself. There's a Russian psychologist, Lev Vygotsky. His research in the 1930s showed something critical. Thinking doesn't just get expressed through speech. Thinking develops through speech. When a child explains their reasoning out loud, first I did this, then I did that because, they're not just showing you they understand. That verbalization process, that's how understanding deepens. That's how intuitive actions become conscious strategies. Vygotsky called this internalization. External speech, explaining out loud, gradually becomes internal speech, the ability to think abstractly. Without that step of verbal explanation, the internalization doesn't complete. So when Beast Academy lets kids solve visually and move on, they're skipping the stage where visual understanding becomes verbalized, abstract thought, and that becomes required in upper elementary. Open response questions. Explain your reasoning in complete sentences, justifying your method to a teacher. Kids who've only practiced solving, but never practiced explaining, they hit a wall. There are 3 more critical gaps. I'm going to go deep on all of them in my next video. But the point is, these gaps, they don't show up in second grade workbook scores. They show up years later when suddenly math gets hard and you're wondering what happened. Your kid was solving Beast Academy problems just fine, but the thinking skills they needed for the next level, those were never built. So here's what you need to do right now to figure out if Beast Academy is actually right for your kid. Don't guess. Don't hope it'll work out. Test it. Path 1. Beast Academy is a great fit. And here's how you know. Your kid can hold multiple steps in their head without losing track. You give them a 3-step instruction. Go upstairs, get your shoes, and put them by the door. They do all 3 without you repeating. They think in pictures. When you say, imagine a square, they see it. When they're solving a puzzle, they're rotating pieces in their mind. And critically, they can work somewhat independently. You show them an example, they can try the next one without you sitting right there. If that's your kid, get Beast Academy. But add one thing. After every problem, ask them to explain their thinking out loud. How did you figure that out? Make them verbalize it. That fills the gap we talked about. Path 2. Beast Academy could work, but you need to do this first. Your kid has some of what they need, but not everything. Maybe working memory is still developing. Maybe they need more structure. Here's what you do. Try it for 1 month, not 6 months. 1. But track this specifically. How much scaffolding are you providing? Are you breaking down every problem? Is your kid getting frustrated? Or are they challenged but engaged? Can they explain their thinking or just get answers? After 1 month, be honest. If you're doing more than 50% of the cognitive work, if they're frustrated more than engaged, stop. Don't push through hoping it gets better. Switch to something else now, not after they've internalized that math is hard. Path 3. A different program is the better move right now, and that's okay. If your kid needs you to repeat instructions multiple times, if they lose track mid-problem, if visual representations confuse them more than help, don't buy Beast Academy. Not because your kid can't do math, because their brain needs a different approach right now. And here's what's important. That doesn't mean they're behind. It means their cognitive skills are developing on a different timeline. There are excellent programs that build those foundational skills first, working memory, attention control, sequential processing, and then introduce complex problem solving. So stop asking, should I use Beast Academy? Ask this instead. Does my kid's brain have what Beast Academy requires right now? And here's how you find out for sure. Before you spend money, before you waste 6 months or even longer. Here's the reality. You can't make this decision without knowing where your kid actually is cognitively. Not their grade level. Not whether they can count to 100. Not whether they seem smart. Their actual cognitive development. The thinking skills that make math learning possible. And here's the problem. There's no way to see that just by looking at them. You can't tell if their working memory can handle multi-step problems. You can't see if their visual spatial reasoning is developed enough for Beast Academy's approach. You can't know if abstract thinking is ready or still forming. So here's what we did. We took the assessment methodology from Lyudmila Yasukova, the Russian psychologist whose work we've been studying for years, and made it available, online and for free. It measures the 15 cognitive skills that math learning actually depends on. Not, is your kid ready for second grade math? But, how does your kid's brain actually process information right now? Takes about 45 minutes. Your kid doesn't know they're being tested. It looks like puzzles and games, and you get percentile scores for each skill. You see exactly where the strengths are, where the gaps are, and then you can make a real decision. Not everyone says Beast Academy is great, so we'll try it. But based on my child's brain, their working memory, their visual reasoning, their attention control, Is Beast Academy the right match? Or would Singapore be better? Or something else entirely? Because here's what we see happen over and over. Parents choose curriculum based on reviews and recommendations. 6 months later, it's not working. The kid is frustrated. The parent is stressed. And the question is always, is my kid just not good at math? Or did we choose wrong curriculum? Usually, you chose wrong. Not because the curriculum is bad, because it didn't match how their brain works. When you make the choice based on cognitive match instead of popularity, different story. Math becomes something kids engage with instead of avoid. The foundation builds correctly. And years later, when other families are struggling, your kid is confident and capable. The assessment is free. Links in the description. If you're choosing math curriculum right now, for any grade, not just Beast Academy, do the assessment first. Because the curriculum that matches your kid's brain, that's the one that works. The one that doesn't match, even if it's the best, that's the one that creates frustration and gaps. Know before you choose.